I don't know what's going on. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat, everybody. Hopefully my camera will wake itself up. I had the wrong settings, and I'm like, oh man, we're going to the countdown. How's it going, Adam?
Good. It's gold member.
Hey, now, that's what she said. Oh man, so we're gonna go guest list tonight, but we want all the viewers to be our guests, and we have a lot of topics we want to talk about. We want some input.
Right.
Spencer says my camera will warm up eventually, and we'll lose the
It
green.
and
It's coming
it is
around.
right now. That happened to mine. I had to stick a white sheet of paper in front of it, and it rebalanced itself, and away we went. And that was last week. I was quite proud of myself. But as you said, Clinton, our viewers are the guests tonight, and we've talked about some great things over the last couple of weeks and some fairly polarizing topics. So feel free to keep on throwing in your opinions, because we'd love to hear what you think, whether we're going to talk about fighting. And we're going to have an example here, Clinton, later on in the show about what is a track's role when it comes to fighting at the racetrack, and you know, where do you draw the line is something we've talked about a lot over time. And we can, if people have opinions on it, we can talk about that a little bit more tonight. There's lots of stuff coming down the line, folks. So comment on any of it. I'll even throw out my theories, Clinton. I'm happy to go on the record and tell you what I think we're in for.
I'm gonna throw out some theories. Lord help us. Some of the topics we want your opinion on tonight: driving in multiple classes. So these were a culmination of a few things that we had talked about the last few weeks. So driving in multiple classes at the same event on the same day, should that be allowed both on dirt and pavement? That was something we discussed a bit last time. We'll talk about this week. We're also going to talk about fighting. Should fighting be allowed in racing, and how's the best way to handle it? And the other thing we want to know: has Throwback Weekend with NASCAR jumped the shark? So those were the three things we were looking for your opinion on. Feel free to chime in, and we will get to them, and we'll discuss those throughout the hour. We are hoping to get in touch with Tony Bachhoven from Knoxville. I sent him a message, but we were late getting into it. We're going to get Tony out. They had the SRX cars there testing Knoxville, and we'll have a bit of footage of that, I think, and some clips there. So,
Yeah,
Adam?
and I screwed us up, because I suggested a few hours ago we get Greg Callan on. We've been talking to Greg about it for a couple of weeks now, and I forgot his ice cream parlor opens this weekend. It's Tuesday already, so he'll be camped out.
I was like, wait a minute. On top of T-shirts and hero cards, he's now selling ice cream. But you mean the one he likes to take?
Oh, yeah. It's like concert tickets for most of us. He'll be in a sleeping bag on the sidewalk in front of it for the whole week.
First up news was Spencer went missing, and we had to send out the search party for him today. We have about 3 or 4 Facebook Messenger chats that are on different topics, so we can keep everything. One is for this show, and Spencer hadn't read anything since late Saturday night, and I started to get worried, and I don't give a shit about nothing. So when I get worried, there's other problems. I message down. I'm like, have you heard from Spencer? Something's wrong. And what Spencer doesn't know is we actually sent out the search party. We messaged Daniel today after Spencer didn't take my call. So I messaged Daniel, I'm not really close with Daniel, but he works with us, and I know Spencer's buddies, and Daniel's like, yeah, he's probably fine. But then Spencer got back to us, and he was all right. So, you don't think we worry about you. We don't. We just need you for the show, So, but no, in all seriousness, though, Adam, mental health is a big thing in your world and something we take seriously. So when you don't hear from your buddies, we had to do a buddy check-in and found out he was good to go. So we welcome Spencer back to the family. A couple other things we want to talk about. Let's jump into the first topic right off the bat, Adam. Take the cash or wait for more. So there were a couple of things that came out in the past week. Throw up the tweets if you can, Spencer. Throw up the picture of this Creed truck first. That's the first one. I might have sent them to you out of order. But so this was going on with it was on the NASCAR Twitter feed, or one of them. It said, absolutely no reason Sheldon Creed should be running sponsorless during this championship season. Come on, Marcus Lemonis, who's from Camping World. This kid needs a full-time sponsor. Marcus Lemonis replies, I've offered help. Sheldon Creed says, we are worth more than $15K. So that's an interesting thought right there, Adam, to say, okay, so they'd rather run the truck bare and hope for more than settle for 15K. Give up the next slide, Spencer, and then we'll come in for Adam's thoughts on this. So the next slide is Marcus Lemonis, and he tweets out, and this was just about 12, 13 days ago. Let me simplify this for all NASCAR truck teams and drivers. And if you recall, Adam, he had this situation a few weeks or a few races or a month ago, where if you put Camping World on the truck and a bunch of trucks did it, he says, let me simplify this. Win with our company's paint scheme, and I'll pay you $100,000. That's it. Capitalism meets racing at Camping World. Are you confident enough to take the challenge? So they're saying to a team that like Creed that can win, you put it on, no guaranteed money, but $100,000 if you can pull it off. So Adam, your thoughts?
I love it. My thoughts on Sheldon Creed's comment that we're worth more than 15K. You know, tone matters, right? How you say something is equally as important, if not more important, as what you say, right? Your approach is everything. So part of me wants to think, okay, let me really break this down. Sheldon Creed is a big player in the truck series. I can't see him doing that without there being some conversation in the background. Hey, I'm going to put this out there. I think it'll be, no offense, but he might have been fed that line to put out there. And this is where reality meets fiction. This is where promotion meets the truth. So what Sheldon Creed said may very well be right. They can't put the full paint scheme Camping World for $15,000 because what if you've got sponsors that are paying for 20 out of the 30 some races and they're paying $50,000 a race? Now they find out you're taking $15,000. So you have to be careful not to devalue yourself. My conclusion, my opinion is that this was probably predetermined in the background, what he said. Because if it wasn't, I think it goes back to my fighting and racing comment. Someone should go pop him right in the Adam's apple.
Okay, I agree with two things you said there. Are they worth more than $15,000? They don't want to devalue. I get it. I think my issue is that's not Sheldon Creed's place to come out and say it. There should be a team rep or somebody or an owner stepping in. That just shouldn't come from the driver. I mean, that was my beef. I'm just like, Sheldon, you should be so much better than that. And I don't know, it comes down to the classiness of it. You know what I mean? And now I think he came off spoiled, even though I think the comment is bang on. We're worth more than 15,000 race. I get that. It just sounds like you're looking to gift horse in the mouth. Even
racing, right? No, and I get it. Racing needs a black hat. Right? Racing is right. It really does. You've got to have a villain, and you look over the years. There was always a great villain, right? That people love to hate. It was Darrell Waltrip. It was Dale Earnhardt. It was Jeff Gordon. And then what? Right? They're really Kyle Busch. But nobody to that extent. So I really think, and I've said this. I've been on the record. We're up to 80 shows we've done. I don't know what number this is. I remember at some point saying there's a big market for a company that has the balls to come out and let a driver be outrageous, like we've seen some NFL players in the past, like we've seen some NBA basketball players, people that still got to play the game. What the heck's his name? Dennis Rodman was an integral part of the Chicago Bulls. The man was a loon. He was nuts, but it was worth it. And it created, he was probably the third most popular player in the NBA at the time. And if you went down the depth chart, he wasn't even in the top 50.
I don't disagree, but the problem is you need to be independently wealthy. Someone like, for example, Glenn Stiers. If he wanted to have that attitude, he'd go around, pay his own way, don't need favors from nobody. He could afford to be that way. Unfortunately, a lot of racers need to kiss a little more ass in their career to be able to get away with that type of stuff. It's funny you say the villain. I told my brother Mike the same thing. I said, we're going in the Knights of Thunder, man. You should be running T-shirts with the Black Knight on there and embrace your big mouth, and run with it.
Yeah.
Sell some shirts because of it.
And the flip side is, Clinton, we talked about this where people buy their rides anymore. We were talking about how race car drivers, and in the case of the conversation we were having, female race car drivers market themselves on social media. And it's wild what they put out there for consumption, because it's not your traditional marketing. It's a lot of skin.
I mean, if that's what you can work to sell it, but that can also treat you like a big mouth too. You get in trouble, a little too much.
Right, but
stuff
what we and in the conversation, sorry to cut you off, but I don't mind putting my opinion to it. That the gist of the conversation is that's not enough anymore. There's still got to be an awful lot of daddy's money coming in to pay for that, right? You can't even sell your body for enough money. There's still got to be your sex appeal, your appeal to make enough money to cover a NASCAR ride in any of the top 3 series.
You're not wrong.
I'm man or woman. It just so happens that I think women do have the upper hand when it comes to that sort of marketing.
Let's see. Do we got any comments we want to jump on here, Adam?
That's what I keep looking down for. I'm using my phone for.
Yeah, I just opened up a new window here so I can keep track. All right, let's jump into should you be able to drive multiple classes, yes or no? So we face this on a couple situations, Adam, that are close to us. We've got the APC and the Super Stocks that are going to be racing the same events on the same days at certain weeks, and they share a lot of the same pool of drivers. A guy like Sean Chenoweth comes to mind off the top of my head. And then on the dirt sprint car side, we face that situation here with the 350, the 360s and the crate sprints, because as part of the tours, they have 9 events where they're going to be on the card on the same day as per the schedule, which will depend how many we get out there. So the problem you have is you don't want your top guys going back and cherry picking your feeder classes, but you also want your up and coming drivers to have a chance to get their feet wet. So it's that tough decision you have to make as a management crew to figure out, do you allow it or do you not allow it? Adam, I think in the past you said you're just wide open, do what you want.
To an extent, yeah. I'll stand behind that. I'm not going to backtrack on that, Clint. But I remember now, and I don't know why this didn't occur to me last week, you and I had this conversation, and the talk was around a solid points fund, right? We were talking about when a company comes and puts big money behind a points fund to run a series. I think there are moments, and this would be a great case, so yeah, you can go ahead and race whatever you want, but you can only run for 1 points fund. And that's...
So we have... Yep. Did I lose Adam there?
No, I'm here. I felt bad because I keep cutting you off. That comes back to, at some point, it can always come back to, look, it's our sandbox, or it's the racetrack owner's sandbox, or it's the series promoter's sandbox. They do get to dictate some of these rules and what's better for the sport. So I'm all for race against everybody. I want to race against the best no matter what the class is. But if you do want to put a stop to that, say, okay, guys, the carrot at the end, the prize at the end, you can only race for one, 360 or crate. Decide what it's going to be, because you can't do both. So let them race, but not take part of the big reward.
I think that's part of about where we've kind of been going down that road with it. For example, with the sprint car world, we've got 2 identical point funds for the crates and the 360s. You're going to have to pick which one you want to race for. We would let you dabble in both if you want. There was even talk about maybe, do you make the guys that are doubling in both classes start behind the guys who aren't? So, for example, if you're going for points in the crates, but you're dabbling in the 360s and you can qualify, you're going to start 18th or 19th behind the guys that are going for points. I'm not sure if we need to go that far with it, but I think we do need some restrictions, because especially in the sprint car world, we've got some big dollar teams. When you start putting out point fund money, and good carrots out there for them to chase. They want all the carrots, and it's the same thing we talked about with the Crate Sprint Car Nationals at Oshweekend. You're going to have all the top teams, and it was one of the top teams. It was actually Daryl Turford from Hills Racing who reached out to me and said, listen, man, you need to put some restrictions in there because I know Miles and all our owners are going to want to build cars for all these guys, and we're going to put Parker Price Miller in there, and he's going to run the crate on Friday, and then, all your guys who go for that series are being ousted then by the top level drivers and better equipment, and the guys 40 a week to get left behind. And then
on one hand, go ahead then. On one hand, I'd hate to see it happen. On the other hand, I would love nothing more than to watch Jacob Dykstra or Darren Dryden or Liam Martin or Alan Downey blow the doors off of Parker Price Miller in a crate sprint. Because I don't think it'd be that easy to step down and win.
I'm not saying it would be because we've never really done it. But I know when Mac DeMann came back, he whipped him, but he was already whipping him right before he left. Same thing can be said about Jacob Dykstra, those guys, if they move on. But I also think, with Oshweekend being the home track for them, we want them to be able to go out and dabble. And we've got a lot of young kids now. We've heard Bailey Hurd and, Dykstra's plan on moving up. There's a bunch of these kids, Liam Martin, who still have kind of access to both cars, who maybe want to race as much as they can. DJ Christie was another one who reached out.
Well, give me your opinion on this. Give me your opinion to those of you watching. If you could build have a top-notch crew chief and a top-notch car in the 360s and one in the crates, would it be easier for a crate sprint driver to step up into the best 360 in the field and win? Or would it be easier for a 360 driver to jump into the best crate sprint car in the field and win? I think it'd be easier to go into the 360s and win.
Oh, buddy, you're dreaming. There's no way.
If you've got the best of the best.
No, I disagree. One of the 360 guys is going to come back and lay a hurting on you. I bet my money on that one. Here's another scenario for you. And a few of the comments have came in. Brandon Gruel says, yes, we should be allowed to run multiple classes. I'm a full-time sportsman and part-time 358 modified driver. When my dad doesn't drive, just haven't done it on the same night, but I don't see anything wrong with it. So that's basically along the same lines. Twitch, it says, I agree with Brandon, as long as you aren't cherry picking a lower class. And that's exactly what this situation is. We're talking about is cherry picking. But here's another scenario, Adam, and this is one thing I fought pretty hard for in the past couple of seasons. And, is when we have a 360 race and there's no crate action and a crate car wants to jump into that 360. Now, the SOS and Knights of Thunder say you have to be injected, which means your car doesn't meet it. But there was a team that got into Brockville's race last year and raced crates with the 360s. Now, I don't love that. I can tell you why, because you've got a bunch of teams now who are putting out the 360 level of investment, and there's so many reasons why. It's not safe, for one. The difference in speed and the closing rate between a crate and a 360 on a tacky track.
Choose a better word. Choose a better word. Racing is never safe, and it's always dangerous. Safe and dangerous they're just poor words to use.
Fair enough.
Because I'm challenging you to. I don't disagree with you. Just find a better way to say it. It disrespects the integrity of the show you're trying to put on. When someone goes out in a crate car and leaders, they're 2-3 seconds slower than the leader. And then you can argue, well, we can get up to speed. Yeah, you probably can as the night goes on and the track slicks off. But as you say, there's so many things that are not in the rule book. But at some point, the people who own the sandbox have the right to say, no, this show isn't for you.
And like the team battled me back hard on it, that they said, why? And we were all right. But the teams behind them said, this guy was in our way. We drove 3 hours to get here, and now we're hung up behind a damn crate car. They weren't happy about it, So it's one of those things where, yeah, you may want that extra car in there, but maybe it's not the best thing. And then if you get a car, especially on draw races like the sprint cars where you're drawing for your position, you get a good draw with, say, 4 crate cars, and all the crate cars end up in one heat, and all the 360s end up in another heat and behind those guys. What happens then is, you got assortment of crate cars who have gotten in, who were just kind of taking spots of 360 guys. They haven't made the level of investment. You're cheaping your show. There's lots of things there. So that's a topic we could continue to battle on another day.
It's one of those great topics where there's no 100% right and 100% wrong, but there's good, compelling arguments.
So he says, Terry Whitall, put that back up, Spencer, if you can. I'm a loyal fan, only a loyal fan, but I love to see guys racing in both classes if they're competitive. Exciting to see a hard charger. Yeah, I mean, as announcers, it gives us a lot to talk about on the night. It's another story that we can follow and kind of continue to go back and beat that horse all night until it happens, for better or worse. But as the promoter, like we said, sometimes it's hard. You got to draw lines and figure out what you need to do in the sandbox, right?
Yeah. And like I said, we think about things largely from a competition standpoint, Clint. And we're lucky because we're talking about a good show versus a great show. Like you're not trying to make something out of nothing. You've always got to remember the fans. Would it be better for the fans? And if it's better for the fans, maybe you got to do it.
Some other comments come in. Nick Erskine brings up a good topic. If you win in a lower series, automatic feature end of the line next time you race that series, like a hot shoe challenge. That's not bad.
I love someone using an iRacing term to talk about racing, right? Like EOL is you never heard that before iRacing.
We used to do that with the redraw, and that's one thing I pushed when we brought in the redraw system in Humberstone a few years ago was if you were in the redraw, if you won the feature last week and you ended up in the redraw, you automatically took the last number in the redraw. And that was exciting to announce and stuff too, because, you see guys who are qualifying now and they're going to start ninth, which automatically moves everybody up a spot. So that's exciting. And it also prevents the same guy from drawing pole week after week and running away with it, which we have seen that over the years. Anything else you want to touch upon that, Adam?
No, I don't think so. Good comments. Well done, viewers. Great to see you chime in on that. Now, are we going to watch the whole video, this Burger Barn video of the week, Clint? Because it's about 3.5 minutes. But I think it does offer a lot of...
Do you want to watch the whole video?
I wouldn't be opposed to it, because there is a lot to take in.
I was just trying to scratch my head like, geez, what did we send over as the Burger Barn video of the week? So if you're confident, let's do it.
There's a lot to take in. It's timely. Let's watch it.
Go get the white flag next time coming off the turn 4. Here goes Chase Johnson around the outside, taking a peek to the outside. He'll get down to the inside, coming to the white flag one more time around. Gardner down to the bottom side. He'll block that run from Chase Johnson. Chase Johnson all over the tailgate. He'll shove him down the back straightaway. Oh, Chase Johnson with the move. Checkered flag will fly. Chase Johnson picking up the win over Damian Gardner. Brody Rowe rounding out your top 3.
Picking up the win here tonight in Bakersfield, California. Chase Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Chase Johnson picking up the win. In the May Motorsports number 8M machine. Chase Johnson picking up the win. We got some happy people here down in Victory Lane. Chase Johnson. Chase Johnson, buddy, fantastic job, man. Took it right to the end in a 360. You got it done in a 410 sprint car.
Oh, baby, it feels good. Things go around, they come around. So it's part of the sport. Everyone can't be happy, but, man, I'm sure pumped to be here. It's all so awesome to do this with a 360. Thank these guys so much. This is so great. This is my first night in the car, first night back here in California with these guys. And, man, what a show. You got, excuse my language, you got to go for the win when you got to go for the win. And, I'm here to win. I'm here to win races and run up front. So that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up one more time. Chase Johnson picking up the victory for Maine Motorsports here in Bakersfield, California.
All right, Damien, not the way you wanted tonight to end.
No, not really. Not really. I don't know. Whatever. Just what are you gonna say about it? The car was good there. Real good up when it was slick and stuff, and had a really good car all night. Got to thank my guys, Ollie Alexander Racing. Really appreciate these guys. And did really good. They laid rubber there on the bottom, and I kind of knew it was gonna happen. And I knew someone would be coming. I seen it. Luckily, I got to the bottom there. And had a couple laps to hang on there, and I don't know. What are you gonna say? Just you saw it. I mean, you could, you said that's racing, whatever. That ain't racing. That's racing midgets. Those kids that race midgets like that, that's how they race. They just take each other out and call it racing. But the difference is they don't get it. No one gets them back. So we'll see. But he's been, when you're running for championships and you're, do this every year, all day, all year. You got the same car, same ride. You're in it for the long haul. These little punks that show up for one night, do some dumb shit. What are you gonna say about that? But they, it all works out. They get handled at the end, and we'll see. Like I said, I just want to thank the guys. Sorry we couldn't come out with a victory tonight. I want to thank the sponsors I got. Karma Trucking, and then we got a new sponsor, Performance Online. Those guys, Jim and Fred at home, are watching tonight. They're all jacked up, and they're excited for a long time, and they got to see the excitement of the sport, how it goes down sometimes, and.
It's all yours, sir.
I didn't like the move. I didn't like the move at all for the win, but it is what it is.
I thought of everything on that video. The one thing that Mr. Adam Ross would have liked was the clean bump and run. What was wrong with that?
It was a well-executed bump and run, but no, that's a bit different. That's kind of a chicken shit move, although it takes a lot of cojones to do it in an open-wheel car like that. A bump and run, you upset a car going into the corner, and you take advantage of the fact that the driver can't gather it in. The driver has to alter their line. The move that he made coming off the corner, you're just turning someone. So, not crazy about the move. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of skill involved in what he did there without killing himself.
Okay, back it up against Spencer. I'll give you my thoughts on it, Adam. I think I'll take a page out of all the sprint car drivers we've spoken to over the years. Nobody is ever trying to hit anybody in a sprint car. Unlike stock cars or other forms of racing, they definitely don't want to ever touch each other. So the fact that he got him clean, I think he was more trying to push him, and maybe that's never going to work with these type of bumpers. I don't know. But I don't know. Did he try and loosen him up? Because he could have easily spun him up and jumped the wheel. Very easy there. I think he gained on him. Can I see it again, Spencer? Just keep playing it over and over until we can't watch it anymore.
Yeah, it's tough to say because that.
I think he gets bite, and he just – and then once he hooked him, he realized, okay, what am I going to do there? But I don't know, such a tough call. Travis Cunningham, you mentioned him, prep the track properly so it doesn't take rubber and you don't have to worry about moves like that. Was that a chicken shit move? I'm calling out our sprint car drivers in the chat. Travis, was that a bad move, clean move? Here's my thing, Adam. Wasn't majorly vicious, didn't rattle his head around, got into him, gently kind of moved him up out of the way, didn't flip him, didn't spin him out. He still finished second. I mean, in a sprint car, it don't get no sweeter than that for the bump and run.
And, and I'm going to commend the track workers. As much as I think you got to let drivers do their thing, when it comes to a victory lane celebration, if the officials ruled that Chase Johnson won the race, you got to let Chase Johnson have his celebration. I'm okay with Damien shouting at him in victory lane, but I'm actually okay with the officials keeping him off of him while he stands up on the car and does his celebration, because that's an important part of the race. If they want to fight right after that, fight right after that. But there's certain moments that you don't want to see disrupted.
I don't disagree. It brings me. I'm gonna try and get it to Spencer, see if he can show my bouncing from victory lane in Humberstone when we had to get into it with a rogue fan who came out of the thing, and we were trying to let Billy Bleach have his moment. But that was an interesting night at Port Colborne. But let's go on to the rest of it, Adam. So Gardner's obviously upset, mad. He was obviously a lot cooler in the pits. I think there's a lot of adrenaline, pissed off because he thought he had him beat, and then he gets, dumped going down the back straightaway last lap. So, but talk about it later. I think he said a lot of stuff afterwards. You got these, and he said a lot of things that were very specific, but I think they could be brought into any class. And he's saying, "Oh, these midget kids or these things." But the basic gist of it is you got a group of guys who follow the tour around every week, towing the same gear for the same people. And then you got these young hot shoes coming in with new opportunities to drive for car owners who just jump in, kind of throw the right rears around, do whatever they got to do to try and make the win and then leave town again. And that pisses off your regulars, So I thought he had some pretty concise stuff to say there too.
What we saw, and I've seen it in the asphalt world with the NASCAR Pinty series from guys like DJ Kennington, Donnie Thompson, and the conversation would often go something along the lines of, you can tell who works on their own cars and who doesn't. And they were often complaining about J.R. Fitzpatrick, right? They were often complaining about J.R. Later on, it was Kevin Lacroix who'd come in. They weren't having to put the stuff together. They'd drive the wheels off the damn thing. Where some of the older guard was saying, well, look, I don't like doing body work. Let's not mess with the body. If push comes to shove, they would. But there is a changing of the guard. And I'm fine with Damian Gardner being part of the old guard now. And he's saying things that you would typically say. What I do want to follow up on is what happens to these drivers next time they're on the track together, because I got a huge sense from Damian Gardner's interview that when push comes to shove, I'm going to shove. But you have to follow up to see if the opportunity comes about for him.
I agree. Let's read some of the comments. Travis Cunningham answers. He says, not a fan of sprint cars doing this stuff, but on that type of track conditions, it is understandable. Don Martin says it's just not cool to win that way. Nick Erskine says that was kind of overkill, although he could have just dumped him if he wanted to. Looked like he tried to get unhooked, but at the same time was pretty dirty. Pretty wild. As a follow-up to Travis Cunningham's comment, Baloo had a great interview from Eldora, and we'll try and get into that as well if we can. And then Nick Erskine says, kind of frustrating to race somebody clean all race, and then they do that to you.
And if that's the case, so we didn't have a whole lot of we didn't have any build up to that moment. Maybe they were bouncing off each other the whole race. Maybe they were never near each other. So you always want to get as much of the story as you can to give. Frank, I've been terrible at picking out words, like the words on the tip of my tongue, but you want perspective, right? You want to see the scope of the whole race to see what led to that moment. Maybe nothing led to that moment, but maybe there was back and forth all day long that we didn't see.
That actually goes on everywhere, as it shows emotions are always high. I thought Chase Johnson, he didn't care. He was happy. He was pumped. He just, and the officials got into it, as you said, to keep him out of it. I'm going to try and find my video for Spencer. Let's jump into our next topic, Adam. SRX TV made for format. That didn't make sense. SRX made for TV format. TV made format, it says.
TV made format, yep.
So let's talk about this. Spencer, throw up the slide if you can. And they've got a unique system there, Adam. 2 15-minute heats, timed races. We've done that before. So lay this one out for us, Adam.
I love it. 15-minute heat races. So what they do when they get to 15 minutes, they throw the white flag and then the checkered. But it gives you a controlled environment to run that race. So it's not going to be dragged out for stupid things. I really like that. Then they're getting into a 100-lap feature. They're going to do 150 when they get to Slinger Speedway. And it looks like the way they're doing the points is kind of a motocross type system, which, again, makes every lap matter, really.
It's kind of a unique setup. We haven't seen this really before. I think it's exciting to mix it up. Timing-wise, made for TV. That's one of the digs that NASCAR, drags on too much. Tough to plan a clean hour. One thing we fought with our live broadcasts on MAV TV Canada was we could never give them a clean out. It was always a guesstimate. It'd be like, somewhere between 11 and 11:25. And we were usually pretty good in that 25-minute range, but For live TV, that's a little bit tough. Thankfully, they were able to just cut to, program already in progress. But I like it. I'm a little concerned. I want to reserve a bit judge me yet because I know you'll pin me to the wall if I really commit to it. But I'm still a little concerned with the driver talent pool. So have they brought in enough firepower to really kick it up a notch? And I think they've done a great job of bringing in some of the local guys. For example, Brian Brown at Knoxville, and I can't think who else. Was it Brian Priest at Stafford or something like that? And they're bringing in these other drivers who are, hometown heroes too, to battle these guys. But some of them are just, I don't know. Are they past their prime? Is it just going to be a good old battle of the network stars, or where are we going to be?
Right. So I would direct your attention to Dancing with the Stars.
See, that's just, you lost me right there. That's what we're all afraid of. Right?
No.
So here we go.
Don't fool yourself.
Helio, Bobby Labonte, Paul Tracy, Tony Kanaan, Willie T. Ribs. So you had me till Willie, then Bill Elliott, Ernie France Jr., Marco Andretti, Michael Waltrip, Mark Webber, Formula One driver. So those are all great drivers, but you're not going to see them all at every race, right? It's going to be an assortment of plucked and choose drivers. So I don't know. I hope it works out. Anytime we can bring new programming to shake things up is great.
In my mind, it's Dancing with the Stars meets Hollywood Squares. Not necessarily A-listers, but they are great talents. I would rather see it. I'd rather see a Pro-Am type deal where you match them up with celebrities. I just think that it's a huge opportunity. If you're going to make it a show designed for entertainment, then do it like Long Beach. It's one of the most popular events of the year.
I'm laughing because you asked this Pro-Am idea to marry you 25 years ago, and you've been stuck with it like a bad wife.
I'm not giving up.
Every time we have a freaking idea for iRacing, real racing, do a Pro-Am, bro. We need a Pro-Am.
I'm not wrong.
You may not be. Maybe we're gonna have to do one just.
But it's expensive. The challenge is there's a lot of expense involved, but this would be the type of deal that could do it. I think you've got to have programmable drivers. You've got to have drivers who you can talk to and say, look, this is what we're here to do. Make sure we accomplish our goals of being entertaining, of giving good interviews when the time comes, of keeping things tight. Like there's a lot of things that the series has control of. Tony Stewart has control of because he owns the whole game. He's not, you can only tell Dale Earnhardt so much because General Motors was paying him. Richard Childress was paying him. Sure, NASCAR is the sandbox, but he answers to a lot of other people. Anyone in this race, they're there because Tony Stewart has them there.
I agree. Our next topic is SRX cars on track at Knoxville, but I'm going to hold that topic, Spencer. We were going to play the videos that they put out, but it's on YouTube. Just search SRX Knoxville. We'll save that. Tony Bachhoven just messaged me back at him, says he's going to try and come on next week. It was his actual video of the test at Knoxville, so we'll try and get our announcer buddy Tony on, the voice of Knoxville Speedway, next Tuesday, and he'll talk about that, and we'll bring some videos to the light and discuss how they're going to be at Knoxville. Let's go back, Adam. You said the officials did a good job of bouncing in Victory Lane. Here's my bouncing video from Victory Lane from about, 5 years ago at Humberstone Speedway. So we're standing there, and Billy Bleach is being interviewed, and someone came out of the grandstand, and you see Billy kind of looking at him. The guy's in his mouth saying, "You're a cheater," and screaming at Billy. And then I come up and ask him, "Hey, bud, who are you?" And he basically threw a punch at me, and then we end up where we are now.
Row number 3 to the inside. We find the driver of the St. Louis Bar and Grill, lucky 7 out of St. Catharines. It's Cody McPherson. To his outside in the Rescue Dogs match, number 20.
Our buddy Stephen Petty doesn't miss a beat, just keeps going into the lineup.
Yeah.
Well, we got
he had a job to do.
In the Casco Haulage.
So there are times when you got to step in, and there's times, and it's not easy to understand which is one of those times and which isn't, but you nailed it that time.
let's jump into taking the dirt off Bristol. Boy, they've got to clean up there, Adam. They've shown some of the mounds of dirt, if you will, and just shows you how deep it was in the bankings. They've got a few feet there to go. They've been working hard on that. When Jocasta first came out, Adam, everyone was saying they should put dirt on that, but I can't imagine how much power washing it's going to take to get all that dirt out of there. If you've ever been to a dirt track on a Friday night off weekend and you come home, you're still picking that dust out of your butt 3 days later. So good luck to them as they try and work it out. Hopefully they're not turned off by the cleanup when it comes to doing it for the next 2 years, as we're told it's going to happen. So we've been following that story a fair bit as well. Will Ontario follow Saskatoon, Adam? Or Saskatchewan, I should say.
Saskatchewan. So this is my opinion. This is where I said I was going to put it on the line. Saskatchewan is scheduled to open up as of the end of May because they will be at 70% of their population having had their first dose of vaccine. So they would basically go to what we considered red zone. At least 3 weeks beyond that, they've got another benchmark that they want to hit. And I believe it's a different percentage and then maybe a younger demographic that they want to have vaccinated. And then they will go to stage 2 of reopening, which allows for larger gatherings, bigger groups, more things to open. And then another minimum 3 weeks if they get to the final benchmark. Again, don't remember what that benchmark was, where they basically reopen. There's going to be some new rules, I'm sure, about where we will be asked to wear masks and not to wear masks and whatever. I'm sure all of us will pay that price for the opportunity to get back to normal. The way I looked at the numbers, Clinton, I believe Ontario will be at that 70% by about June 8th or 9th. I see us being 2 weeks behind Saskatchewan, maybe 3 weeks behind Saskatchewan. I just think all the provinces are really likely going to be working from the same sort of numbers. And the good news is the mayors have all banded together, a lot of mayors in Ontario saying, look, we demand to see the reopening plan. We demand to see what you have in mind so we can try to be ready. But I would guess that's what we're going to see. There's a huge lobby right now behind outdoor activities. So the goal is to get motorsports, through the efforts of Mark Rinaldi and Lou Rinaldi, make sure motorsports is included in that grouping. But that's my opinion. I'm happy to stand by it. It just makes sense to me.
I mean, we all hope you're right. I think the biggest problem I have with the whole way this has been handled is there hasn't really been a goal line. They haven't said when ICUs get to this percentage will open, when vaccinations get to this percentage will open. Everybody's like, well, what's going on? Like, we just keep hearing more and more, lockdowns. Let me throw it to you this way. In your opinion, obviously nothing official because we're not government officials, when's our first day at the races this year?
Optimistically, I would say, what's the second Saturday in June?
I want to say not the one we're going to go racing, but
mid
that would be the
mid-June. Mid-June. 12th to the 19th, we're on track.
I tend to think we're into July. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. But my opinion of it is, and I've said this all along, I have a hard time believing they're going to let us come out of being total lockdown to having 500 people all gather at the same place. And that's what it's going to take for a pit area to work, with 4 divisions of cars. So
yeah, but it works for red zone. So yeah, I don't think we'll be at a normal racing situation until well into the summer. But I think we can get to a COVID schedule. I think there's different schedules are going to work in different ways. I think the APC series is much different than weekly late model racing. I think the Pinty series is much different than most other types of racing. And I think dirt tracks are a lot different. There are certain events that are scheduled to go on where the money has been sorted out already, but there's a lot of things that are going to rely on track promoters to decide, look, can I sustain myself running in this way? So as you say, but we both agree the season is going to go much, much later than it ever has.
Okay, so that's another opinion. You think we're going to go much, much later? We talking November?
I don't see why you wouldn't.
I guess it depends on how many weeks you have to make up, right? So when we look at the series that we are associated with, let's say, there's a couple situations there. First off, APC, they've said they're going to work their best to get 10 in. So if we miss a couple at the beginning, maybe we go a couple of weeks later. Luke has told us that he has no problem. He can see a Saturday in October for the ABC series as a possibility.
Mhm.
So they haven't ruled that out. NASCAR is still trying to scramble to figure out what's going to happen with their schedule as events are still up in the air. Let's call a spade a spade. They've got some situations that are still up in the air. CTMP, we're hearing, has issues, and their concern is with everything being the ICUs being so bad. There's concern that somebody being hurt at the races may not be able to get proper care. And I've heard that may be a situation as to why things may get held up at a track or two as well. I don't think that would prevent our short tracks around here from getting going. Then with NASCAR, you've also got GP3R. That's a huge town city event where they shut down the town. Is that going to go? You've also got our event, the Pinty's 100 Ashweekend. Is Ashweekend going to get to open it all again this year, which would continge on that. So they're going to have some scrambling to do. I don't know. As far as our dirt races go, I think you'll see us try and keep a minimum of 12 to 10 on each crate and 360 tour. So, for example, right now, as we see these dates fade away, we had a doubleheader for crates and 360s on the Monday. We already missed one 360 race. I don't see us rescheduling those. So, for example, we had 27 races on the 360, Knights of Thunder combined schedule. I think you're going to see us just try and work to 12. Now, we're not going to cancel anymore, but I don't think you'll see us reschedule the ones we missed. So, I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot to take in still. There's a lot to play out, and depending how much racing you get in, that's going to it's a supply and demand industry. If there's demand for races, someone is going to figure out a way to put the races on.
Dusty DeBoer says, would you just follow the original schedule as if the first weeks were rained out or remake the released schedule? That's a good question. I would say for us at our Ashweekend, if we got open, we would probably not. We would pick up from wherever we were able to go. I would see that happening. Basically, same thing with the Knights of Thunder and the Action Sprint Tour. APC, like we said, Luke's going to do his best, and they, it's also been speculated that they would move from region to region depending on the color codes too. So if Sauble's open but Sunset's in red, you could see the events being swapped possibly to make it work. So I was going to say, we'll be your source for all that information, but no, we won't. We're only here on Tuesdays, so you'll find all this information out. You know what usually happens? The minute we get off the air, all the best news comes in. For the 4 hours after our show ends, the freshest stuff comes in, and we have to wait a week to talk about it. It's frustrating.
Speaking of fresh stuff, have we scheduled on tonight's show to run our new promo video? It seems kind of dumb if we didn't.
No. Spencer, can you prep that? No worries.
Yeah, sorry about that. It had crossed my mind earlier, and I've been busy and I didn't say anything. I thought, no, I'm sure they're planning on that. I'd like to see that get shared a lot.
I think the plan was to release it today. All right, so let me write one comment here, and then we'll get back to it. We'll air it. Mike C says, how does Big O fit in the color code being located on the reserve? They're in their own Six Nations and still in black. Right now, they are in full lockdown, stay-at-home order. So that's where we are right now. Ashweekend is kind of on its own on Six Nations, but even when everybody else got open last year, we were still locked down. So we're still waiting for better news coming out of the Big O. This is our newest promo video, Adam. We created this for race teams to use to kind of explain what G-Force is. We use it to show our sponsors as well. And anybody who wants to kind of show off what we're doing in Ontario, this is about a 1.5 minute video to to promote G-Force. So some of the teams had asked us, when I go in to talk to these guys and tell them we're going to be on G-Force, it's hard to explain what it is. So can you put together a bit of a promo? So this is what we've come up with. It can be found on G-Force TV under our video section. It's called Are You Ready? So if you want, feel free to pick it up, share it, show it to your sponsors. If it helps you by showing them what kind of exposure you're going to get by racing this summer, that would be great. Anything you want to add to that, Adam?
No, just to say that teams, even if you already have the sponsor, send this to them and say, hey, we're working hard for you. And just remind them that you're doing everything you can do. If you're looking to find new sponsors, by all means, when you send your proposal, send a link to this video. It was kind of our way of saying thank you to the teams and showing, hey, we want to be here for you because you were here for us, and we can make a pretty good team together.
Yeah, let everybody know you're going to be on G-Force this summer. Roll it, Spence.
G-Force TV delivers the excitement of short track racing to places it has never seen before. With dynamic production elements and state-of-the-art technology, G-Force TV proves what the racing community already knew. Race fans are plentiful and they are hungry for excitement. Last year, G-Force TV streamed over 250,000 hours of intense racing action for fans all around the world. Nearly 750,000 fans viewed our streams and on-demand videos. By the end of the racing season, our subscriptions rose more than 400%. What does all this mean for you and your business? Motorsports marketing in Canada has never produced such amazing and measurable results. Cashing in on the benefit of motorsports marketing is easier than it's ever been. Work with a team, work with a speedway, work with a series, or join the excitement directly with us at G-Force TV. We are excited to see you all back at the races. But until then, see it all on G-Force TV. Subscribe today for free at gforcetv.net.
So as we mentioned, that can be found on G-Force TV. Just go to the video section and you'll find it there. Share it up. Send it around. All right.
Nice job putting that together. Nice job putting that together, and sounded great to have Greg Callan on there. Something about his voice, it's just smooth.
I was all bitter last week. You guys don't like my voice.
You know what? So a little bit of inside baseball here, folks. Clinton worked on this video and he sent it out, and he had done the initial voiceover and he had modified his voice a little bit. Clinton does that for some of his promo videos.
Voice, and I got outvoted.
And I don't like it, and I never have. But I don't say much. I like your voice. I don't like the modified monster trucky voice. So I was watching the video with Angie and Connor here, and they kind of said the same thing. Ooh, that voice again. Thinking, man, I don't want to say anything because Clint's put so much work into this. When I go back into the comments, Spencer has already said, ooh, not sure about the voice. And then you would come back to say Christine had already said she didn't like the voice either. So I didn't feel so bad. But the video itself, fantastic. Nicely done.
No, it's all good. Greg's kind of the voice of the channel. It made sense. He's been doing all our promos, just meant more work for him. But it was good. Felt good to do some editing. I haven't done that in a while, so we're excited to get back out there and get some of that going. NASCAR brings out the next gen car. We'll touch on that quickly. We might have to talk about scrapping again next week, but I'm sure there'll be another Haymaker show that we can talk about and bring us back to that topic again. Show the next gen car, Spencer, the pictures of it. I don't have any hate for it, Adam. I mean, if the biggest thing you can say is it doesn't have 5 lug nuts, I don't see a major issue. Do you like it? I think they look great.
I'm indifferent to it. I kind of think if you took the identical 3 cars and put the different decal packages on each one, wouldn't it look the same as these do?
No, see, and I think that was the problem with the other stuff. If you look at, you have different contours, different vents. These are real, actual different front ends, I think. If you take it from the hood pin forward, look at that Ford in the middle compared to the Chevy above it and the Camry below it. There's a big difference there in the grill openings. I do think, Now,
And
obviously,
maybe.
getting the greenhouse, so from the hood pins to the rear spoiler, may be identical, which I think makes it fair. You want parity in the series, but I don't have a big issue. I think they look great. Some of the comments came out today that they look too sport car-ish. I didn't really see that. I mean,
I'm fine with that if they do.
Yeah,
Right,
like
I
you and
got
I,
no problem.
we've been close enough right up to the NASCAR Camping World trucks, right up to the Pinty's cars. They're different than your regular late models. There's a lot more going on there with electronics and bells and whistles and switches and hoses, and you're just in there. You know, they're just a little bit more of an animal. And I don't know, man. When we got to go to the garage last year at Daytona and be up close to these cars, there's just something different than your regular late model. And I don't have beef with them. I don't hate them. Let us know what you guys think.
I'm fine with it. I want to see if the attributes that they think they're going to have is something that they actually do have. I think that'll be a lot of fun to see. So hopefully it accomplishes what they want to accomplish.
You know, obviously pit stops, Mark De Silva says, you know, he can't wait to see how quick the pit stops get and does it change the strategy for taking fuel or not. I think there's going to be a lot of different strategies that work out because of that single lug nut. So we'll watch how that one goes. Staying with NASCAR. Spencer, you can get rid of the scrap or not scrap. We'll talk about that next week. That can go in the futures file. Throwback weekend, has it jumped the shark, Adam? So when I saw Hailie Deegan's truck, and show that one first, Spencer. So Hailie Deegan's truck was supposed to look like Ford's first victory. So my truck for Darlington Raceway, throwback to the first Ford GT win in 1966. I'm like, awesome. Then we see what the Ford GT win in 1966 is supposed to look like, Spencer. Throw that one up. They don't look anything alike. The stripe's different. The color's different. The number in the circle's different. Go back to hers. Flip it back and forth a couple times if you can, Spence. Like, they're just, I didn't get it. That put me in a pissy mood. And that's what made me think, the throwback weekend jumped the shark. Then you see Corey LaJoie's car wearing the actual fire suit from Alan Kowicki. Show that, Spencer. And I'm like, you reeled me right back in now.
Yep. Hashtag winning. I mean, that I'm with you 100%. Did it jump the shark? You know, they talk about things so much that it makes me sick of it.
Just hold
you know
that
what
there.
I mean? If they were
like a red split stripe on a white, they don't even look alike. You know? So
no.
It's just, I think if you're gonna do it, you got to do it like LaJoie did it. Give me all or nothing. You know, you can't just say, I'm representing this from the past and leave it half-assed.
And if most people don't know what you've done, have you really done anything? Like that car, most diehard race fans say, wow, that takes me back.
I love how you said
me back.
You know, if I don't know what you're doing, have you really done anything? And that's a great way to put it. A lot of those trucks out there said they were doing this, but it didn't make much sense. I mean, there were some of them that really nailed it, like LaJoie did. And I can't think of any right off the top of my head, but there were a few that came out throughout the day on Sunday's broadcast that I thought were really good. And I guess maybe the festival
Marty
atmosphere.
Robbins.
Yes, you know that
Tyler
was
Reddick. That was a little bit obscure, so good that they explained it. And I don't mean me. Like, I'm not saying Adam Ross because I recognize that car. It's a good. I mean someone who was a fan of the sport in the 80s and the 90s, and you can look back and say, yep, that's a great moment. Just to preface that, I didn't want to sound too frickin' pompous.
You know, and kudos to Corey LaJoie's sponsors and, you know, his ownership group to allow him to run that full package. I mean, they probably got more play than they could have ever, you know? So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our last topic for the day is get there any way you can, Adam. Sometimes you got to be determined to be a racer, and sometimes you got to throw it right in the back of the truck. So this was spotted at a gas station somewhere near a local racetrack in the States, and, you know, had to get that micro 600 there any way he could, and it just so happened on the low-profile, low rider What kind of car is that? I can't even tell. It's like a Chevy,
like an El Camino or something.
Yeah, something like that. But
I
hey,
don't
man,
know.
whatever it takes to get there, that's some determination.
Clint, I enjoy the shows we do with no guests. I love having people on. I love chatting with them. But I enjoy doing an hour with you and just going through different topics and shooting the breeze about what's going on and what our opinions are, especially when people are commenting. When the comments come in, it makes it worthwhile, because you and I really do pay attention to who the people say won a particular fight. Like it always comes up after, yeah, well, I had the people on my side, it's not the same one every time. I think I've lost more than I've won, but
I was shocked that you said that was a bad bump and run tonight. I thought, oh, Adam's gonna love this, and you're like, no, that's dirty. But hey, it is what it is. Spencer, we're glad you're still with us because we were worried about you today, bro. We have a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. We continue to build the G-Force network and our relationships, and we're getting ready for an outdoor season to be awesome. Go ahead.
I've been watching more race streams in the last 3 weeks. I subscribe to Flow Racing and Dirt Vision. I've got Ackerd Speedway, the Battle of the Bull Ring, going on right now. I watched Oswego Speedway on the weekend. Oswego Speedway is on Flow Racing. To watch a full super modified race, Clinton, I've said for a long time, I prefer Oswego super modifieds to ISMA super modifieds, just because they race better. And I started to wonder if I was full of shit or not, because it's been so long. I thought, well, maybe that's just my old school opinion from when I was a kid. But I watched that race Saturday night, and I'll stand behind that comment. Show me super modifieds with now Oswego supers do have a small wing now, but not like the enormous monstrosity on the roof of an ISMA super. I love watching Oswego supers race, and I was not disappointed.
I think I read the car counts were really good. Weren't they up around 25 cars or something like that? That's great for the top class.
Yep.
Yeah.
Their 50-50 draw. Oh, this is part of why I wanted to bring it up. The 50-50 draw was $2,000. That's a good crowd, a good show. So hats off to the work being done at Oswego Speedway. And a little spoiler, folks, if you ever want to know how good a crowd is at a place, go by the 50-50 draw. If the 50-50 is over $1,000, they've brought in a pretty good crowd that night. So $2,000 at Oswego, that's a good Saturday night.
Yeah, when I first started managing Oshweek, Glenn would tell me the 50-50 is very close to your front gate attendance. And, you get up to, and that was before we started doing the guaranteed money, because that pumps it up. But on a regular night, you get about 1,200 people in there, and your 50-50 is about 1,225. You're bang on. So, anyways, I think that does it for another hour. We appreciate you being with us. Next Tuesday, we'll be back at it, probably with guests. We're going to have Tony Bachhoven come on and talk about Knoxville and the SRX experience and everything else you folks want to talk about. Anything else you want to say, Adam?
Have a good week, guys. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you later, guys. Thanks, Spencer.